Everything you've been taught about diet is wrong. I remember in school being taught the food pyramids, where fats and salt were at the top, grains and carbs were at the bottom. They told us that we need to eat whole grains, all of that we must avoid all fat, that we must avoid salt. They told us that we can only eat 2 eggs per day, and all of that. Now, these people who tell us these things, guess what they look like? They're fucking obese. Right now, go on Google and search for Minister of Health and look at images. Look at what these people look like. And we are taking advice from them. They are the ones who tell us that carbs are good and fat is bad. Let me ask you this. If you wanted to lose fat, would you listen to a fat person? If you wanted to build muscle, would you listen to a skinny person? Now, why are you taking advice from fat and sick people on how to have a healthy diet? But you're probably gonna say that no, there are healthy people who consume these diets. But guess what? These people have brain fog, have visceral fat, and many other invisible problems. So don't tell me they're healthy. I used to take the advice of average people. I used to eat a high carb, low fat diet, and look at what I looked like in the past. Do I look healthy? If I've got your attention, in this video, I'll teach you the right diet for building muscle, losing fat, and improving your health. Now let's get started. Now let's begin with carbs. Your body breaks down carbs into glucose, which is used for glycogen as energy. But you can't store an infinite amount of glycogen. So when your glycogen supplies are full, your body stores carbohydrates as fat. And when you get no movement, that happens most of the time because you don't use up your energy. But let's say that you eliminated carbs. You would have no energy, right? No. Glucose is so important to your body that it can produce it without any food. When you don't consume carbohydrates, your body starts burning fat for energy. Your body starts breaking down fat into ketones, which are used for glucose. Now, when you consume carbs, you get a spike of energy because now you have more glycogen. But then, when you use up that energy, when your glycogen supplies are low, you are tired, you have no energy, and so you have to consume more carbohydrates. But when you use fat for energy, when you're on a ketogenic diet like keto or carnivore, you have a constant supply of energy because you're using your fat, and also you have more energy because fat has more calories. So why consume carbohydrates? I don't know. You tell me. You may have a bit less energy when you don't consume carbohydrates, but I never experienced that. I have much more energy when I don't consume any carbs. Now, low carb diets are very controversial. There will be many people telling you that carbs are necessary for health, that you can't be healthy without carbs, that you're gonna have no energy, and all of that bullshit. Now, don't listen to these people. People who go on low carb diets feel much better than when consuming carbs. Most people, including myself. Now, you may have a bit more energy when you consume carbs, and it's fine to consume carbs if you practice some kind of high intensity sport or you really need a lot of energy, like if you run long distances and all of that. But if not, I see no reason why you should consume carbs. Now, you've probably heard about fructose, the good sugar, right? The sugar that's contained in fruits. Average people tell you that fructose is good and all of that. Well, guess what? Your body doesn't need fructose. Also, fructose is addictive and it causes many problems like increasing liver fat. If you want to learn more about fructose, I recommend you search for the video titled Fat Chance Fructose 2.0. You might have heard about the high fructose corn syrup, which is used instead of sugar because it's more healthy? Well, it's as bad as sugar, and most processed food contains that nowadays. It contains high fructose corn syrup. Even things like cheese, like bread, like pastries, most foods contain things like sugar, high fructose corn syrup nowadays. It's no wonder eating processed food makes you fat. Now, talking about processed food, I'm sure you already know that processed food is bad for you. But you see so many bodybuilders on TikTok and Instagram, dirty bulk, and eat a bunch of processed food. They're fine, right? Guess what? These people are shortening their lifespans by decades. Do not listen to bodybuilders on steroids or dirty bulk because they don't know what they're doing. Now, let's talk about fat. A huge mistake that average people do is avoid fat. I used to avoid fat, and I had no testosterone. During puberty, while everyone else started getting deeper voices, I still sounded like a kid. I had no testosterone. Your body uses fat to produce cholesterol. Once again, cholesterol is not bad. Every cell uses cholesterol in your body. The cell membranes are made out of cholesterol. Cholesterol is used to produce important hormones like cortisol, testosterone, estrogen, and so on. You cannot live without cortisol. But of course, too much is bad. Now, dietary cholesterol, the cholesterol you find in foods, doesn't really increase your cholesterol. It doesn't have a big effect on your cholesterol. Do not stay away from foods like eggs, because they are not bad for your health. I've been eating 10 eggs every day for 2 years. My health is fine. Now, cholesterol is a hydrophobic molecule. That means you can't just transport it through blood. So that's why lipoproteins exist. You've heard about lipoproteins like LDL and HDL, HDL being the good lipoprotein. But now LDL is what carries cholesterol through blood. You need LDL. Your body requires LDL. But once again, if you consume too much of it, you can get problems. But without LDL, you cannot produce important hormones such as testosterone. Saturated fat increases LDL, so you need to consume enough saturated fat, but not too much. I'm not sure about the exact amount of how much you can safely consume, but about 30 to 50 grams per day of saturated fat is fine and is necessary for your hormones, so don't stay away from saturated fat. Now, there are also unsaturated fats, like monounsaturated fats. Monounsaturated fats are good for your health. They increase your HDL. Now, there are also polyunsaturated fats, omega-3s and omega-6s. I'm sure you've heard many times that seed oils are great for your health, that sunflower oils, flaxseed oils are great. But if you consume too much of these, you'll get inflammation and decreased testosterone, because these oils are high in omega-6s. If you consume too many omega-6s, you get inflammation, decreased hormones, many other bad health effects. If you want to have good health, you need to keep a ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s between 4:1 and 1:1. Going above or below that will cause problems like inflammation, decreased testosterone, and so on. But consuming too little of omega-3s or omega-6s will also lead to health problems. Now, so far, I've talked about carbs, about fats, about ketones and all of that. You're probably overwhelmed by so much information. So what do? You should go on keto, a low-carb diet. If you want your body to start using fat for energy, you need to wait for a few days, because you want to burn all your glycogen that you have left from carbs. So when you start keto for about 2 to 4 days, you'll have decreased energy, because your body is getting used to using fat for energy. But don't give up, because after that, you'll have great health benefits, like improved focus, improved mental clarity. You'll have even more energy. Your health is gonna improve. There are many health benefits when going on keto, unlike what the fat doctors tell you. Now, to get into ketosis, to start using fat for energy, you need to consume less than about 20 to 50 grams of carbs per day. It depends on how active you are, many other things. There is no exact amount. It depends on the person. Now, you might be asking, what about building muscle on keto? I will lose muscle, right? Well, no. Going on keto doesn't decrease muscle gains. It all depends on calories and protein and things like that. Now, what if you want to bulk on keto? You can do that. It's gonna be harder, but it's gonna be much better. You're gonna gain less fat. Your health is gonna be much better than when consuming carbohydrates, but it's gonna be a bit harder. Now, if you still trust those fat doctors, you're still not sure about not consuming carbs, look at people like Dr. Berg. He's 6 years old, but he looks like he's 40. And he is on keto. Now, I hope you got some value from this video. If you want to learn some information about how to lose fat or build muscle effectively, I have some free text guides for that. Links are in the description. I have a Discord server where I can find like-minded people who are also trying to improve their lives, so check that out. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, no matter what your mind tells you, never give up.